Hello again, everyone. Welcome to another new album review. So, some of you may remember last year at some point I did a Bands You Should Know video on a New Orleans, Louisiana punk band called Pears. If you haven't seen that, I'll post the link down below. Go check it out and learn all about the band we're going to be talking about today. This band has just released their third full-length album. It actually came out last Friday. But if you remember all of the things I said about the band Pears, they are not a band that you can just get everything on the first listen. That's why it didn't say reaction review at the beginning of this, because I've given myself a full week to really let this album sink in, and it's pretty fucking great. Let's get into it. So like I said, this is their third full-length album, and their last release was actually the split full-length they did with the band Direct Hit, which is fucking amazing. And through each release, the band has progressed and kind of just become way better at their sort of chaotic, hard to categorize style of punk rock. So I was very excited to hear this new album, which is just called Pears. And so the first song, which is called Killing Me, starts things off in an unexpectedly straightforward and kind of slower way than you would expect. And at first I'm like, all right, okay, I see what they're doing here. But then by a minute 20, the shit's already changed up and they've already reminded you, oh yeah, you're listening to Pears, remember? And then you're off and running. Because that's how all of their albums are. Wherever you expect a song to go, you're most likely going to be wrong. And where they end up taking you is going to be better than what you expected anyway. Sometimes a very catchy poppy melody will be followed up quickly by an abrupt shift into some sort of really heavy hardcore style riff, and these guys are masters of both, or whatever they fucking decide to do. Really, these guys do more in 2 minutes than a lot of bands manage in 10 minutes. But I think on each release, they've gotten a lot better at kind of making these transitions seem kind of seamless. Maybe it's just because I've gotten to know the band and I kind of expect it, but it doesn't seem as abrupt. It almost seems like you don't realize that you've been taken into a kind of very different tempo and feel of the song that you are only 30 seconds into. And of course, as I spoke about on my video I did on Pears, vocalist and lyricist Zach Quinn is amazing, and he's on fire on this fucking album. The lyrics are very confessional and kind of deep at times, but also he's got a really great sense of humor. But his lyrical style is the kind of thing that it can leave you in the dust very quickly. And then as soon as he's dropped a B-52s reference on you, it's already gone and he's already moved on at least, 2 more verses. But fortunately, they included lyrics in the album. Oh, by the way, I got the vinyl. I'll show you guys that a little bit later. But it's not just Zach that shines on this album. It's the whole goddamn band. Brian Predis on guitar and backing vocals, tight as fuck and amazing with the riffs as usual. Also on bass, Eric Goodyear and James Nathan on drums. They are literally such a fucking tight and amazing band. They're exactly the kind of band you need to deliver these loaded bombs with the precision they require. But as technically exciting as this album is, it's also surprisingly emotional at times. You'll find yourself really feeling something every once in a while. But then before you know it, you're shouting along with the gang vocals on, "It's time to take a nap!" Which, Naps, that's a fucking great song. I'm not singling out songs because they all have great standout qualities. I would suggest listening to them all, but you don't get everything on the first listen. I almost feel like every Pears album should have the same song repeated 3 times before they move on to the next one. Just so you can get everything that's in those songs, because it is an album that the more that I listen to it, the more that I get out of it. The little things start popping out, and even things that should be obvious, like amazing vocal melodies that the first time I sort of just took for granted, and then the second time I hear it, I go, oh, that's fucking good. If I had to pick a favorite, I think the song Daughter is my favorite because it's got all the elements. And it is one of those songs, like I told you, where you find yourself feeling surprisingly emotional. And also the fast chugging guitar part on Sympathy Cone. But it's easy to win me over with that kind of shit. But the one that did totally win me over that I was a little surprised about was the song Traveling Time, which is a slower tempo, acoustic, straightforward pop song, and it's pretty much perfect. The vocal harmonies on the chorus are spot on. It is such a well-written song, and it shows that Pears can fucking do anything they want. And I really hope they do. I hope on subsequent albums we get other surprises. I don't see any limitations for these guys. After having lived with this album for about a week, I would have to say that so far this year, this is my favorite album that's come out. But hey, I got vinyl. Let's take a look at it. So there you go. Cover of the album. Back cover. Pretty fucking great artwork. And then the color I got was this nifty sort of combo swirly blue and green thingy. I'm sure there's a specific name that they had. But, you pre-order these things so far in advance. And then I'm like, I don't remember which one I chose. And so it's always a surprise when you get it. And then also, like I said, you have this sort of lyric inner sheet, which is pretty great because, trust me, listening to the album is one thing, reading along with the lyrics is another thing. You got to do the whole thing. So, needless to say, I really fucking dig this album. It's just got so much of the shit that I love. It's got a little bit of that classic 90s Fat Records vibe to it. It's also got a lot of shit that reminds me of the band All, which, if you don't know, All was the band that the Descendants kind of became when they had a different vocalist. But it's got, you just take those things and throw them together and then sprinkle some like hardcore punk on top of it. And I don't know, it's just an amazing package. There's no other band that sounds like Pears, and I don't think any other band could pull it off as well as they do. So yeah, I highly recommend going and checking out this album. If you want to learn more about the band, look down below. There's a link to my Bands You Should Know video all about Pears. Everybody get out there and go listen to this shit because it's fucking great. Anyway, thank you for joining me for another new album review, and I will see you guys again very soon.